my brain has, become like, when machine and man sort of merge. That's something that has happened with Google Calendar. My body wouldn't do something if it's not on my calendar.
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Down and Dirty. And today I have with me Chirag Pugalia. He's the founder of Matar Media. Love the name, Chirag, first of all. If I'm getting this right, Matar Media it's an aggregator of creators, and it's a place where you can discover and hire creative talent in order to, fulfill your content needs, photography needs, personal branding needs, marketing needs, anything that involves a creator. And I see that the business is growing. Congratulations. As a founder, that's all you want is the team size to grow as a metric of how the business is doing. So really, really happy to have you here. Is there anything that you want to add about Matar Media that I have not, or yourself, that I have not briefly alluded to?
I think you covered that pretty well. We are like a managed marketplace for content to happen for brands. So we do work with a lot of creators, but we own the quality. And that's I think that is what we feel like is the model that sort of solves for the content and industry at large. So we're trying to just build that prima facie an agency for clients. So how marketing agencies work, it's like a black box. Briefs come in, projects get executed, but on the back end things work very different. So it's like the live space or the urban company, but for content.
Very cool.
Sort of simplifies what we do.
And you're in the right space. I mean, you're in the space. It doesn't get hotter than content right now. Either content or, big data like AI, ML. So you're in the absolute right space. So, okay.
We use AI also, by the way, because that's also a buzzword. So we call ourselves aesthetically intelligent.
Of course, you're also pun master, right? So I'm not surprised that you just threw that at me right now.
Yeah, we do. Whatever becomes a buzz, we jump on it.
Yeah. Says the content guy. Yes. Everybody here. Jump on the buzzwords. So Chirag, what is your you started Matar Media when? How many years is it?
2019. We were pursuing our undergrad, both Divyam and I. We started taking up freelance projects, realized, people pay so much for content. And then we sort of started it as an agency. We both dropped out of college in our final semester. And started building this. We went to find a CA, but ended up, making them a client. And then things just like went, we just went with the flow post that. 2 years later, it really stuck to us. Hey, what are we doing? We're just doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, and it's not working. And that's when we shifted to, like, where do we want this industry to be? And that's when the idea of managed marketplace sort of came about. So that's when we, 2 years later, we shifted gears to like start building that.
Very cool. And here you are in 2023. So what does a day in your life look like as someone who is, leading charge of a growing, very hot business line? What is a normal day in your life?
But chaos.
Chaos. Okay. Right. Now let's unpack that chaos. Let's find the method in the madness. Like literally, like if you had to walk me through from the time you wake up, what's happening? Just take me through your day till you hit the sack.
So I used to be a little harsh on myself. I used to be like, I have to wake up at 5, and then I have to follow this routine and put things up on my calendar with minute to minute plan. But I think now I've started going a little loose. I wake up whenever my body wants to wake up, and then I start. That typically happens around anywhere between 6 to 8. So not post 8, but not earlier than 6. It happens somewhere between that time. So that's like a good range to play with. And then I start my day with like, if I've woken up around 8, I would probably, just chill for a while, just get the house ready. I'm an organization freak, so I need like things organized. In a way, I would just like make sure that I get like my first win of the day in the first 2-3 hours. The most important task, I would just try to like get it done like the moment I wake up, and then I start my day, and then I would probably, so I feel like, I've achieved something in the beginning, and that sort of sets good tone for the day. And then I would probably, hit to get ready for office. We'd reach by around 10:30. Then the day is pretty much like minute to minute is, I think, planned in advance. I think my calendar sort of, I use like, I put everything on a calendar. Earlier, I used to like create to-do lists, and then eventually I realized that, until and unless you put like a time block for something, things don't get done. So I started planning my weeks, like days, week in advance. And then, just like my calendar would probably tell me what to do when, and I would just like follow that. So uh, that's how, the rest of the day goes. Mostly dinners are, I'm probably meeting someone or the other from the industry, a friend, or dinners I'd probably, try to like catch up or meet someone outside of work. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much like, and then 9, 10 ish, I'd be back home, and I'll probably, just hit to sleep after
So
that.
in that chunk of time between 10:30 and 7, so I mean, because then you're out after that. What is your work day look like? As in, are you does it usually start with meetings? And you said you use your calendar to kind of organize what your
Yeah.
day should like look like a week in advance. But do you have your calendar organized in the context of, okay, only meetings till 12, and after that is brainstorming till 2 or whatever? Like, is that how you're structuring your day?
I used to do that, but then I started like keeping things a little more flexible. So
Hmm.
the workday is pretty much, essentially, it gets filled up with things that had to be done. We
Hmm.
do, I think, one constant piece every day is we do huddles across the org.
Hmm.
So morning, first thing, 10:30 to 11. On alternate days, I'll do a huddle with my co-founder, Divyam. We'll just sync up on our priorities, on what directions our teams are in, and then we'd probably do a huddle with our exact subordinates. So our leadership team, my side of the team, I would do the huddle with them. Devin would do the huddle with his team, and that's how like the entire organization like syncs up um, at the beginning of the day. Once we have a priority set, what's a P0, P1, P2, P3. We have like tasks set up, and we have a priority set up. We just like then hit the day with like however it has to flow. So we go with the flow a little bit, because agency sort of comes with its own, the client would
Of
call
course.
last minute, and they'll be like, oh, where's my
Drop
edit?
everything else for the
You,
client, right? Agency model, yes.
so you have to like jump, you have
Yeah.
to keep jumping, and you have to keep your, schedule very flexible in a
Yeah.
way. So then we tried like probably, blocking very strict times for things, but then
Yeah.
we soon realized that that's not how we can work. And so
Yeah.
we've left it flexible, but most of the day would go up in, I look at the business side of things. So I get in sales. So major hours would go in probably, calls with clients, trying to close projects. Those are like 1 hour, 40 minutes, 30 minutes sort of different calls, and then rest of the time would go in like, burning fires, putting off fires for the team. So I think filling gaps for finance, filling gaps for tech, filling gaps for product, solving, team issues and culture issues. Someone said something to someone and they felt bad about it, and now we need to jump in to like solve for that. So those issues, those fires will keep happening. We should try to solve that.
Got it.
um,
How big is your team?
our team's roughly around 35 people.
That's a lot of fires to put out. So
Yeah.
35 people to
Yeah.
to stoke egos is
Yeah.
could be a full-time job for someone. I mean, that's why you have HR as
Yeah.
well. Okay, all right, okay. So would you say in your day that most of your time, or it seems as though your time is split between actually working with your team and meetings and doing outward facing work because of your responsibilities, which are more sales oriented? So is that roughly how it is, or do you find yourself spending more time with in meetings, like in huddles, like interacting with your team?
Mostly meetings, because externally or internally, we really have to like just sit with the teams and give them direction. So internally, mostly
Yeah.
it's meetings, externally also meetings.
Yeah.
There's probably 20% of the day that would go up in like that I would have the luxury to like finish my own tasks.
Yeah.
Otherwise, full day is like helping
Right.
others finish their tasks.
Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
so it's mostly talking, and which is why
Got it.
like, when I come back home and I don't call mom because I'm too tired talking throughout the
Yeah.
day, like
And she doesn't
every,
get it. She's like, why won't you, like, I mean, all you have to do is leave me one text message, right? Like,
yeah.
you have to just say you're okay. And be like, Mom, I don't have the time even for that.
But
Yes.
probably you still would have the time, but you don't have the energy to talk anymore.
Bandwidth. Right.
So,
Fair enough. Fair enough. So what
I'm
is
so
the
sorry
most
right now.
oh,
I just like,
like she sounds like my mom. Yes.
but I'll take it later. Yeah.
So what is the most challenging part of doing your job as a founder, as someone, a co-founder running Matar Media? What is the hardest thing?
I think it's uh, you are constantly playing too many roles. Uh,
Hmm.
you are essentially filling gaps. So the thing about like being a founder is ki you can't complain or you can't blame. The end of the month, salaries have to be processed, clients have to be serviced, vendors, you have to give enough work to creators and vendors. So uh, we are responsible and answerable to everybody, but things have to get done. So we can't complain that hey, we are understaffed. And
Yeah,
I don't have someone to do these 10 tasks. And I have to
correct.
jump in and I have to do those things with myself. So for a very long time, I've I, still probably to an extent, I probably take up like 10 different roles in the team, so yeah, tomorrow at a point I'd be probably clearing payments. I'm, checking invoices and like processing payments because my finance guy was on leave. And then
Correct.
I'd probably be, closing clients. And then if there's a fire on a project, then I'm a project manager. Now I'm so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really like multitasking between roles.
yeah,
And because as a business you have to like make sure
yeah,
that all directions you're doing fine, if not great. But that is what requires you to be in so many shoes
yeah,
where it becomes a mess. By the end of the day, it's
correct.
like it's all over the place. You've done
Yeah.
you've been busy all day, but at the end of the day, you don't know what work you've done really.
Yeah.
And
You maintain the status quo.
yeah.
Your your head is above water is what you've done.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that happens, but I think
huh.
eventually you get used to that chaos and you realize that this is how life is going to be.
Yeah,
Been a lot of
correct.
times when I've wanted to just sit down and focus on one role because I know
Mm.
that I want to feel great about like, oh, I brought this output or I
Yeah,
contributed significantly to a project in an entirety.
yeah,
But that never worked out because you always like when you start doing that, you become an employee and then you're not there's no founder in the team all of a
correct.
sudden. Your team needs more than probably what you need. So you have to take that compromise. I think it's difficult to feel fulfillment in one complete piece, getting rolled out. So that's
By
something
design,
that yeah,
yeah, by design, a founder's role is it's going to be hard
yeah.
to get that because you're split between doing so many things. So let me ask you, on the flip side, what would you say? Either something that you would attribute to externally, or something that's a personality trait. What enables you to be a better founder or to be a good founder? What are those, what are the enablers in your life right now? If you had to like be grateful or call out something, someone, what
I
is
think
that?
uh, this is something that we asked our teams. We were setting up KRAs for all of them, and we asked them, set a KRA for like us as well. How can we
Mhm.
be better founders? I think uh, team expects a lot of guidance, a lot of us being just present there.
Hmm.
Uh, so they need a lot of our time, and for us to be able to make enough time for everybody, I think that is
Hmm.
something that enables us to like be present, be along with them to like run the show, not just like delegate and leave things onto them, but
Yeah.
they sort of want to build along with us, not build for us. So that is something that I feel if we're able to do that make enough time for the team, be present in all, everybody's like hear everybody out and like guide everybody and like probably learn from them as well.
Yeah.
But just be with them while we're building things. I think that's super important. And at the same time, I think there's few other things like personal branding, just like I think pieces that we probably just started picking up. But those are more tangible pieces. I think
I want to ask you about you personally. Like, I want to know for Chirag, like, what is it about your personality, your traits, your OCD, your reason to like have everything organized, or maybe an influencer, a mentor, a guide, whatever. Who is there personally, who or what personally is your strength? Like, what is giving you strength to or giving you superpowers to do what you do? There must be, if you had to do a little bit of introspection, what are your strengths?
Uh, uh, that's a tough question. Probably wouldn't have thought about it, but I think um, I think we just think we're just at it. We just like if I have to talk about myself,
Yeah.
think I care a little too much. I
Okay.
guess about doing the right thing over the easy things. So I think me being the perfectionist
Hmm.
uh, personality and caring too much about the things that we have set our foot
Hmm.
on to solve for. I think that's something that probably, and I could be irrational at times when trying to do that, but I think that is something that until and unless I feel that strong why and strong purpose towards something, it's difficult for me to like put myself to it, and at the same time like put our teams to like motivate them to like work
Got it.
and towards it. So um,
And that
it's
rubs off on them. They probably see that it matters to you, and that gets them together, is what you're saying, right? Like they're kind of seeing what is meaningful to you and what you're taking personally.
and they want a share of that vision.
I
They
want to
don't
share.
even I don't want, or they don't want me to like be at it alone, because I know it's something that nobody can do alone. What we've set out
Yeah.
to achieve. So they want to participate in that. I think that's what sort of makes me happy as well, and I think it sort of gives them some sort of fulfillment as well.
Think there's anything is caring too much. There's caring. And and that's what you have. That's what you're saying, that you care about the stuff that matters to you. So okay. So we've talked about leadership, we've talked about your team, talked about your day. If I had to peer over your shoulder and see your computer on any day, what are some like default, like apps or products or solutions that are always up and open and running on your computer on any given day? Like, what would I see open? Can you name a few things that I would see open on your computer?
So that would be Notion. That would be Google Calendar. Google Calendar is literally like my Bible. I
Okay.
won't do a thing if it's not on my calendar. To an
Okay.
extent that I created booking links for my friends to like book hangout slots with me. I got a beating right after that, but I felt it was only like fair to like do that. But Google Calendar and Google Tasks like side by
Yeah.
side, that piece sort of really helps me put all of my clutter out there, forget, and then probably be 100% present in what I'm doing. And when that slot is over, then I would just glance at my Google Calendar, what do I do next? And then it would just tell me, do this. And I would just do that. So it
Got
just
it. Got it.
it be free and lets me be 100% present. I think Slack would be another one. Slack, WhatsApp
So
would for
Slack,
connect.
Notion, and Google Calendar would be
Yeah,
some regulars on your
regular.
computer, right? Okay. All right. So fine. So we have these three apps that we would see on your computer at any point of time. And which one are we going to talk about today? Like, what's your favorite? What tops the list?
I think something that I just can't live without is Google Calendar.
Okay.
I can run my day without opening Slack and Notion at times, but Google Calendar is just like home for me.
You need that.
Close to my heart, because
And
I
so,
my
huh?
brain
Yeah.
has become my brain has become like when machine and man sort of
Yeah.
merge. That's something that has happened with Google Calendar. My body wouldn't do something if it's not on my calendar. So
And before we even get into your calendar to actually see your calendar, when did the adoption happen? When did the love affair start with
I
Google
started
Calendar?
using Google Calendar in my college itself, 2017,
Okay.
first year of college. I had to do something with the free time that I had. So my entire attendance, it used to come on the app. I just put all the lectures on a Google Calendar, shared it with the entire class. I was like, just like get reminded about your lectures with a notification on your phone, which the university app wouldn't do. And if any lecture would get rescheduled or move ahead or before, I would just change that event on Google Calendar. The entire class just knew. So
So you were the announcement board. Like this was your workaround for like the limitations of the college app was you basically created a Google. Is that what I'm hearing? That you created an entire Google Calendar interface for
Yeah.
your classmates?
Yeah, yeah. I just did that because
Okay.
it was simple. It was like it wasn't any rocket science. I could just show it off and like just manage pieces important like easily for me, and then it just helped my classmates. So
So,
that's
there are a lot of calendaring now, especially post COVID, is a beast unto itself, right? Because we've moved online in a very, very significant way. Managing schedules, repeat meetings, like things that are, structured, but also other things that are unstructured, appointments, group polls, you name it. They're all permutations and combinations. And you're telling me from everything that's available in the marketplace, it's still Google Calendar for you?
yeah, it's just simple and it does the job.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you don't need any are you using any other calendar tool along with Google Calendar for any other use case, like for any other need?
I've tried multiple, but I don't think like I can move out of Google's ecosystem of tools. I think I'm a Google fanboy, in a way. So if two players are doing something and Google is doing that, then I would always prefer Google regardless of how better the other product is. So I might have that bias towards things that come from Google.
Got it.
Uh, just purely because of the ecosystem around it. So how things just connect seamlessly, and the speed at which they're like changing the tools and bringing more functionalities and do it. I always know that if I have a problem today, Google will solve it eventually. In the next 3 months or 6 months. So and they've done it time and again for me for my love to just like grow for them. So it is Google Calendar. I've used multiple, but like never felt like as good as Google Calendar would make me feel.
Okay. And tell me, so if you had to walk me through, we did your day, right? So can you give me a sense of how Google Calendar fits into that? Like, what are you doing? Is that the first thing you do when you log in is first check your day? Like, what happens? And maybe if a screen share is a better way to do this, I'm happy to jump right into that. But I'm
Sure.
just curious about, even before the tool and the hacks itself, I want to know where does it fit in your day? To what extent?
Yeah, so this is interesting because I think in early inertia towards using calendar properly was that hey, you need to like someone told me ki, you need to block time to block time. Uh, so you need to like block your time for you to be able to block time. But I think how my trigger for anything to go on Google Calendar is that uh, any meeting that needs to be scheduled, any previous task that requires Google Calendar is my go-to call to action for any other thing that I've been doing. So let's say I'm talking to a client and they're like, okay, we have clarity on, let's say, what we want to do, but let's schedule another. We'll have to discuss commercials. My preferred action point from there is, okay, let's set a meeting or let's set focus time for like preparing the commercials on Tuesday 2 p.m. Let's schedule a meeting for discussing the commercials with the client Wednesday 3 p.m. And so Google Calendar is my go-to default action item. Either Google Calendar, Google Tasks. If let's say I discussed the team has a doubt with and they need like 15 minutes from my time to like solve it, I'd rather put it on Google Calendar, schedule it, then move. So or there's something that needs my attention, I've still put it on Google Calendar. So it's my default like action item.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I would just schedule time in advance. So that's like the trigger. And mostly there's so much to do. There's so much chaos. I mean, my calendar gets filled like a week in advance. I still try to like keep a few meeting slots open so that more impromptu work can find space. But then I've created like meeting booking links for different types of use cases as well, which I just share with people that I work with or clients or who are so for different purposes. There's like booking links which people could just block time on my calendar for. So I'll
Interesting.
show you
That's
that.
similar to that would be similar to what someone would do with Calendly. But
Yeah, so
what you're doing is
currently on Google Calendar.
on Google Calendar. That's basically what I'm interpreting this to be. Is you've basically done that. Okay, super interesting. What happens if has your calendar ever broken? Like, what would that mean? Like, as in, have things ever gone haywire? And do you remember an incident when you couldn't control it? It seems like your calendar has a mind of its own.
I am not really sure if that's ever happened, but mostly when I'm traveling, it gets difficult because I might have missed blocking my time for travel. And then, sometimes people would have blocked like calls and things on the day. But then my default like survival piece in that is I just like reschedule. I ask them to reschedule and very politely have to ask, can we reschedule this to some other time? But that's the only pain that I've probably faced sometimes. But otherwise, like calendars never, like I've never, it's never disappointed me.
It's never disappointed you. Okay. So you know what? On that note, let's see this beauty and let's see what it looks like in your life.
Sure. Jumping straight in, let me know if you could see my.
Yes, can see. And I have to say, I love the fact that Google has introduced tasks right there along with creating an event. That was a killer move, I thought, when they did that.
Yeah.
So,
No, so this, that is, I think that is something that makes getting things done super easy. So
absolutely.
making a to-do won't work. I think this is something that everybody tries. Just making a to-do list won't work because your list will keep going longer. But I
Yeah.
think the mark, and I didn't mark a few things on my calendar on purpose so that I could probably do that right now, and sort of take you through my thought process of doing this as well. Uh,
Yes.
but like as you see, these are like a few weeks earlier
Mm.
what I was doing, and then so I did this thing of like blocking like even sleep times and wake up times and cycling time and everything on my calendar. So my teams make a lot of fun for this, and like whenever a new person's onboarded, they're shown my calendar. This is how much you can exploit calendars, so go all out. But like and I had to like I couldn't keep it boring, so like I bathing time is this, and then there's commute time to office and all of that.
Yeah.
uh, we have like a B2B sync up, which is like a buy to buy sync up, which is like between me and him. So that is, we used to do this like regular recurring event every sort of every day, like 10 to 10:30. So Google Calendar has this amazing piece where you could create like recurring events. I'm not sure if I can edit that from
Are
here.
you, I have a couple of questions here already, which is, you have your personal life and then you have your work life. Is this calendar only synced up to your work life? Is this your work calendar?
No, this is like work plus
Everything.
personal. Everything's here.
Okay. Everything
Though
is here.
I have another calendar, which is sometimes used for some other booking links. Like I do TopMate sessions where I help people out with like stuff, and these are like paid bookings that would come in. So there's like a few more calendars that are integrated here, but primarily like it just becomes easy if there's just one calendar that has everything, so it becomes more like my mind could just like follow the calendar and I don't have to keep
Got it.
switching, so it just becomes easier that way. So my personal is like this, right? I sleep, I wake up, I cycle, I would
Do you, okay, honestly, Chirag, like really honestly, we have to be honest to yourself and to me. Do you keep, your personal stuff, like the work stuff you can't help, it's a meeting scheduled and you'll show up. But do you keep it? Like, do you find yourself actually keeping to that half-hour slot of whatever, feed myself or, cycle or whatever? Is that
it doesn't happen. So anything that's like out of office, these things are marked as out of office events. By the way, these features you would probably only get on the G Suite Google Calendar, probably not on the free version. But these events I'm a little chill with. So the days that I would really wake up at 6, I would go cycle. The days that I don't wake up at 6, I skip cycle, but like my day would start from here, from 8, and then whatever's there, I would do that. So there's just like a simple toggle in my head. And then but like we make it a point that we reach office by like 10:30, because then these whatever happens from 10 to 7 or 10 to 8, that has to happen. In fact, 10
that
to
has
7,
happened?
that has to
Right.
happen regardless. So, and I've color coded things differently to sort of mark what is super important, what basically. So I have certain labels that I could probably show you. So yeah, these are like the color coded labels for things that I would do. Anything in yellow is like my goals, or like so my personal stuff. Focus work is purple, thing that I just have to sit with these. Google Calendar has this feature called like setting up focus time. So this would automatically decline any meetings that would come up in that zone. So people don't mark or take away my focus time. It's protected. And then there's like a, it mutes everything. It's like, it gives me like do not disturb, and automatically rejects any bookings that come in that time slot. Um, so those are marked. It automatically puts this cute headphone icon here as well. Um, so
Got it.
uh, these
So,
are
how
for
do you plan your week in advance? I mean, if I look at this, for example, I'm assuming this means you have some fixed focus time that you are allotting to yourself a week in advance, right? Because if you're planning 1 week in advance, there are obviously your daily huddles or your weekly huddles that there's a fixed cadence there. But for other stuff, uh, you are you're thinking about it and saying, okay, I want focus time, every Wednesday or on Monday afternoon or whatever it is, right? That's how you're planning ahead. How do you plan ahead?
So apart from like our team sync ups, there's no recurring
Yeah.
event that I've, and like my morning routine, there's no recurring event that I've set up. So focus time, there's this one which is like scheduled LinkedIn posts, but I've seen whenever you make things recurring, it just doesn't work.
Doesn't
Like
work.
you start like skipping, you skip once and then you start skipping every day. So what I've kept is, at least for like this 10 to 7, it's purely on a trigger. Only if there's a trigger, something will get scheduled on the calendar. Otherwise, it won't. And I've tried to like reduce recurring events as much as possible, because it's no matter how good it is, yeah, from a functionality POV, to like have that option, but once you schedule something like 3 months ago and it's just running throughout, it starts making it feel monotonous, and your mind would automatically like stop following that discipline to like actually do that. Like I'm supposed to like take out like an hour to write a schedule a LinkedIn post every day. I haven't been doing this for the past 3 weeks.
So it
Uh,
basically keeps things fresh. Not having something in the calendar as a recurring event keeps it fresh and keeps you motivated to do tasks. So I'm assuming if it's not on your calendar, then it perhaps shows up in your task list in some form where it has to be done. You haven't put it into a slot yet, but it's something that has to be accomplished. Am I right there?
Yes, and I think scheduling things too much in advance is also wrong. Probably
Hmm.
because you lose the intent till you hit that point. So
Hmm.
yeah, you lose the motivation, internal motivation to like get to it. So
Got it.
I try to like schedule things. I try to pack up all my days as much closer to like when that trigger has happened. Um, that just helps me do this. So in fact, like I've been meaning to like delete this from my calendar for a while. I just probably do that. So only recurring piece that I want to keep on my calendar is these huddles, which also I think instead of doing it daily, what we start doing is we start doing it alternate days, and then the leads huddle that we do with our team, that's also on alternate days. So that way we are able to like even cut down that time, because now our teams are pretty much like we've gotten in sync to a level where we know, probably we'll shift to like once a week as well, or twice a week going forward. But yeah, this is it. And like with regards to personal events, even like if I'm shifting my houses, like that's also like put here. I just mark it as out of office. Internal meetings are green, so I know these are like with my internal teams. External meetings are red, so these are, I can't miss these at all. And then, even commute time is blocked on the calendar so that I plan in advance, because I live in a city called Bangalore. So you really get stuck in traffic multiple
Yeah.
times, and you just need to like plan for that. Paid forward is when I am meeting someone to help them with something, and then that is not really business interest, but I'm just meeting people to help them out. That is paid forward pieces. And then relationships is where, I try to like, whoever I've known, professional or personal, I've tried to like keep that relationship alive by constantly meeting them. So those are certain things that I do. What Google does is, at least like the paid feature does, is it just gives me like my time insights into, how much time every week I'm, scheduling for everything. So at the end of the week, I could just, give this a glance, understand where I'm spending how much time. At the same time, like with who I'm spending how much time. So people I've met in this particular week 40, who I've spent a lot more time, and then it gives me prompts to like schedule next meetings for people who I probably should schedule more time where I haven't really. So
And
and
why do you find this kind of granularity, or how do you find this kind of granularity helpful?
This
The
so
insights.
there are certain like how I mentioned, right? For me, super important piece to my KRA as a founder is to make sure that people who I work with or people who are reporting to me, they're getting enough time with me. So when I haven't spent a lot of time with certain folks, um, that is something like, this particular week I spent only like 2.7 hours with like my co-founder. That ideally should be like roughly around 10 hours. So I really get to know from here that, hey, probably I need to like spend a lot more. There's a lot more overlap is required there to like sync up on things. And I know that, whenever there's like less hours here, there's like a little bit of passive aggression that started creeping in, and you need to like solve that. So that's super important. Then all the team leads, these three guys, Atish, Calvin, Kaneshkar, they report to Divyam. So they have like very less time with me. Uh, but then I realized I still need to like spend time with them. And then there are different folks who have like more time here and there. And then it'll also show me how much time I'm spending in meetings, weekly wise, and then one time
You
meetings.
look,
And
you look this up once a week, is what you're saying. You kind of do a calendar check once a week.
Not necessarily, but I just happen to look at it. Let's say
Oh,
I'm
it's
sitting
like you
in the road,
happen.
just happen to look at it, and it just keeps. It's just great to see these insights. It's not
Yeah.
something that I regularly would check, but it's just great to see these insights. And probably, whenever I feel like, how can I probably, if I could use my time a lot better, or it just gives helps me give like a macro picture of that. Otherwise, I would personally know that, okay, I've spent less time with Divyam, but like this telling me would make me like really do something about it.
Yeah. Of
Uh,
course, of course. Now it's backed by data. Are you
yeah,
using, I'm curious, are you using Google Meet because it's integrated with the calendar invitation, or do you use Zoom or
we
some other platform?
use Google Meet
You
just
use
because
Google.
I'm a Google fanboy. So
Yeah. I know. That is why I was asking if if okay, so the whole universe is Google. Understood. Okay. Now,
most of
are there
your people use
yes.
Notion as well. So because there's so
Sorry?
many things that Notion that Google can't do, which we do on Notion. So our entire ERP, our CRM, everything is
Mhm.
built from scratch on Notion. It's very custom
Okay.
built. But like time and task management, I think day to day pieces run mostly on Google. Even our communication, we are moving from Slack to Google Spaces. That's happening this month itself. So Google Tasks, the entire team shifting to Google Tasks and whatnot. Though Slack is a far better tool, but I think just how it all integrates and how we could create tasks from there, which could come here, and then you could drag it onto your calendar. That's just something that I think we like. Um, the we like the just simplicity of this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Is there anything else about the calendar features or hacks, anything that you want to highlight at this point while we're on the screen?
so I think one piece is like the booking links. Like you see these. Um, I have certain booking links on my calendar. Let me move to like a few weeks in advance to like get it blank. Yeah. So, for example, let's say there's these booking links that I've created for different purposes. There's like 60-minute appointment schedules on for Ideate, which I do on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. There's like discovery call sort of slots that I've
Hmm.
created. So what it does is exactly like how calendar would. I think my screen's paused. What it does is it just like opens it up like it's a Calendly interface, but for Google Calendar, and it would just give people like opportunity to book a slot with me.
Got
Uh,
it.
I don't think it's letting me
Okay.
the other screen. Probably I'll have to stop share and then show you the booking page. But let me just do that. So my booking page would look something like this. So these are like Wednesdays, Fridays. These are like booking slots for um, discovery calls, and I've created like bitly sort of shortcuts from those. So in a day, there's good 5-10 calls that I wouldn't be able to pick up because I'd probably be in some meeting. So there's like an automated WhatsApp message as well as like a piece that would go to them that, hey, these are the booking links. Whatever your purpose is for this purpose, there's your link. For this purpose, is your link, and then they would just they would
What is
just.
that? Can you show that to me? Like, what does that look like? What does that workflow look like?
So it's a simple WhatsApp auto reply. When you're not able to, sorry, not
Yeah.
WhatsApp, your normal message replies that you
Yeah,
could
when
say
you decline a call or something, correct.
you could send that, but that has like all these links. So let's say if someone wants to do like quick 15-minute discussion with me to like just resolve something, it's called that would open up these 15-minute blocks for which is like on Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, on even days. Then if someone wants to like discuss something fresh, or it's like a discovery call, I'm talking to them for the first time, that would lead to my,
Yes, do you have? So, how many types of booking links do you have?
I think 5 or 6, if I'm not wrong. Then I made one for
And
my
you,
friends. So the one that I was telling you about, that's called
the one that
time.
they're not happy with.
Yeah.
Yes, let's clarify that. They're not very happy with having to book Chirag's time.
Yeah. These are for dinners and like catch ups. It's called, so there's like
Right.
a there as well. But these are like 2 hour slots on my calendar. And then, these are like Sundays, I do this, and Thursday, 8 p.m., Friday, 8 p.m. These three.
Right.
And then
Oh,
I've specified like where they can meet me as well here. So there's a little
oh
geeky
my God. I can see why they're not really happy with that. You're
yeah,
basically controlling their life by giving your booking link.
yeah.
So,
So
um,
this is the pseudo concept of choice that they have.
yeah,
But yeah, but like I have different
that's
links.
exactly the point.
Yeah. So different purposes, different links. 15-minute calls for like something that we've already started discussion on. But then we need to discuss it again. Um, So
Understood.
these are links. By the way, please, if you could hide or beep those URLs, because then people will start booking those. My calendar will really malfunction then if that happens.
Um, okay, I'll see what we can do about that. Okay, so you know what? Let's stop the screen share for a second. And in the interest of time, I wanna ask you. You had actually already mentioned this, that the stuff that Google is not able to do for you right now, that's where you are relying on Notion to kind of fill in the gap. So like to manage your CRM, for example, is happening from there. But the rest of it, Google's taking care of, and now it's also probably going to subsume what Slack does for you into its ecosystem. Is there anything else that comes to mind where right now Google, um, Google generally is not sufficing, but actually I'm more interested particularly in the calendar. Is there a place where it's not as good as what you would like it to be, or a feature that it's missing that you would want it to have?
I think one piece that I would really use if this was in Google Calendar was like for especially for sales,
Hmm.
um, the option of booking the calendar of whoever is available within a time slot. I think that's something that I would want calendar to have, because most of the times, if someone wants to reach out to discuss a project, um, it should go on the same link, and then probably if there are 3 or 4 people available on that particular schedule, it should allow to like book any of their times rather than, so team bookings is something that probably if it was on Google, that would be amazing. If I
So
could.
just clarify this for me. Team bookings, meaning if you couldn't take a client call, someone else's slot is also visible for someone to book from. Is that it?
Yeah, so something like that, but essentially, or even if a slot gets booked from one end, from the client's end, to who it is going to get assigned, that could be essentially internally managed or based on, like, automatically managed based on whoever's available at that time. Because my
Got it.
calendar, primarily, I think the difficulty that I face with putting everything on my calendar is that most of the times these booking links, you wouldn't find like a time slot till like 10 days later or 15 days later, because even like a micro task is put on the calendar and that sort of gets
That
scheduled
blocks out
a lot
that
in advance.
slot.
Yeah.
That's right. I see
So
what you mean.
a lot of times my slots won't show up to clients, and then clients would be like, oh, there's no slot till like 15 days later.
Yeah.
And then I would probably have to go back to them and like manually schedule that call. Okay, I can
Understand.
probably, because they don't have a view of what are the things that are marked on my calendar that I could actually move around.
Yes. Yes.
So they
Yes.
think it's
Absolutely.
like rigid, but it's not that rigid. Like, I try to like move around things if something important has come in.
Yeah.
Uh, but I just don't like seeing my calendar empty, because then I would feel like, oh, there's not much to do, and I'd start
Yeah.
procrastinating. So I that's something that I've faced as a challenge, that it still lets people book, mark them on someone else's calendar who's available, and then if I feel it's important enough that I need to jump to, I could reschedule something, and I could also take that in. So I could manage assignment of bookings on Google Calendar. If that's like a feature, it'll be pretty dope. Um, but apart from that, I think it's pretty sorted. I think
Okay.
my workflow is sort of really sorted right now. Plus, I think Google Spaces also allows you to create everything, from your chats to tasks, and then tasks would come on calendar, and then there's so that workflow is like working pretty smooth for us at this point. Google is also trying to do a lot of things that Notion is doing, right, with app sheets and with your
Yeah.
docs becoming
Pretty
more
sure
like.
workflows will come up. I mean, what you're requesting, I can see, because Notion did the same thing, right? They said, okay, now we can create a workflow for you, like from this. Tell us what you want to do, and Slack is already doing that as well. So I'm not going to be surprised if Google Calendar allows you to do assignments, and assign meetings to the next person if a slot is booked. But that's a really interesting and relevant challenge that I can see. I can see this really solving a use case, right? Like quite a significant one, which is, I don't want to lose a client or a client potential call because something is blocked out, but it's actually low priority. And could I flag that as low priority if something of higher priority comes in and wants to take its place? So I hear you. So, okay, I have only one thing left right now, and that is rapid fire. Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. First question. Name one thing on your bucket list.
Scuba diving.
Okay. Which social media platform are you personally most active on?
Instagram.
Okay. What comes to mind when I say happy?
Good sleep.
Good sleep. Even though you have it in your calendar. Okay. All right. Last question. Do you own a vehicle?
Yeah,
What vehicle?
it's a car.
What car?
Maruti Fronx, Nexa Fronx. I just bought it, I think, 5 months ago.
Hey, congratulations. Okay, that was it. See, super, super easy and super simple, and yet another window into Chirag and Chirag's world. So, Chirag, thank you so much. This was amazing. I use calendar a lot, but not like you. So you are what I would call a power user of Google Calendar, and I'm sure you heard that before.
I wish
But
Google is. I wish Google is
huh?
listening. I wish Google is listening.
I hope so too, because I really think they should take your feature request in mind. I think that'll help me also. It'll help a lot of people. So I hope they listen to this. But I really appreciate it, especially on a Saturday. And yeah, I mean, have a good weekend.
Same to you. I'm glad I got to do this. I think I'm glad I got to show off my Google Calendar to people.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that probably, if possible, you could blur out.
I mean, I'm not gonna promise anything, but I'm gonna try. Yes. We don't have a post-production facility over here, but it was lovely to get a window into someone else's calendar. I will say that. So I'll be like, wow, that's how someone else organizes their life. That is really cool to see. So
I'm glad.
yeah.
that we could do that. And if you're stuck, if you need help with post-production, you also know who to reach out to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. I completely
This
walked into
very
that trap.
shameless plug.
I completely walked into that. Yeah. All right. Okay, Chirag, thanks so much. This was great. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.